Right, so here we are, sunny day, part 2 of our testing regime for your supercharged injected bike. So since last week when we stopped, we left you remapping the ECU on your PC. Yeah. So since then, what's been going on?
I just adjusted the fuel in at idle,
right.
Just off idle. The engine was still warm, so I cleaned the 2 outer plugs,
yeah,
which were like a dark brown. And then I came out here and I just fired it up and let it idle for 5 minutes. And then obviously later on I took the plugs out and they seemed to be a nice sort of...
They weren't black and sooty anymore?
No, they were, I wouldn't say the light brown, and they're not dark brown, they're sort of a medium brown.
Right, okay.
Which is a good sign. A good sign, yeah.
So was that changing the main map, or was that changing just the startup map?
I've only changed the amount of fuel at idle and just off idle.
On the main map or on the starting?
On the main map.
On the main map.
Yeah.
So the actual starting map's been left alone?
Yeah, I'm not playing
with that. It's a bit rich, we think it's a bit rich.
Yeah.
So you've lowered, rather than mess with that, you've lowered the mapping on the main map for the whole rev range.
I'm just trying to get it idling at the right air fuel, the right air fuel ratio. But I can't trust the reading I'm getting from this gauge at the moment.
Yeah, so the gauge shows you the air fuel ratio, which may or may not be correct.
Which is why I'm looking at plug colours now, just doing plug chops, as they say.
So the last time you did it then, was that warmed up when you started it?
Yeah.
And it was okay?
Yeah, I've not started it from cold since I adjusted the figures.
So now you've a cold bike, fresh fuel.
I put another 11 litres of fuel in it the other day.
The good stuff, yeah.
I've not run it since.
Right, so now this is a test to see if it starts okay when it's cold, which it never has before, at least didn't do very well.
No.
So we'll stand back and hopefully, fingers crossed, hit the button and it'll start from cold, it'll be fine.
All being well, it should be better.
All being well.
Let's just...
Not perfect, but hopefully a bit better. So I'll stand well back.
Ignition's down here.
Yeah, ignition key's down there, everything turns on.
It'll tell me what the temperature of the engine is now.
18.5.
There we go, 18.5.
Yeah, not quite 20 yet.
So we'll give it a prod. I won't touch the throttle.
No.
See what we get.
Okay. Better, it's from cold.
Better from cold, yeah.
Maybe not quite perfect.
No, not quite there, is it? But
need a bit more fuel, maybe. Yeah, I think maybe you'll use a little bit of a throttle to get it going.
Just a bit of throttle.
Yeah.
I mean, on the early Ducatis, they used to have a little button here. You could crack the throttle and lock it.
Yeah.
Until it warmed up, and then once you revved the bike, it
freed
clicked off. Yeah.
Quite clever.
Yeah. I think they did it on Thomas mopeds as well many moons ago. Funny enough. No, just give it a... There's a lot of free play on the throttle, so I'm turning the throttle there, and this quadrant isn't working.
Yeah,
so
I can see it's not moving yet.
They are. Now it's open.
Now, yeah.
Try that. Maybe, I don't know, I mean I've set the ignition timing at 10 degrees at idle, so maybe I could retard the ignition timing a bit more.
Yeah, I mean it sounds better, It's bloody loud though. Right, so it's almost now at 20 degrees, and at 20 degrees the map will reduce the amount of fuel going into the engine. So it'll be quite interesting to see whether it'll run better or worse as it goes passes 20 degrees. 20 degrees now. 20 degrees now, it's just gone over.
Yeah.
And that would reduce the amount of fuel, and it seemed like it died, didn't it?
Yeah.
So maybe you need a bit more fuel at that point rather than less, a bit higher.
Yeah, I adjust the idle, open the butterfly more, which is technically what I was doing with the throttle. Yeah. And you saw how it revved and went up to 2 grand. It seems to be
struggling a little bit. It's like re-struggling.
I mean, if I open that throttle a fraction.
Yes. it's at 29 degrees, it'll soon be at 30, and that will then lower the fueling once again, and maybe it'll run better, maybe it'll run worse. Depends if it's running lean or rich. Yeah. 29, 30 degrees now, so that should alter the fueling, shouldn't it?
It's below 1,000 here, you see.
Yeah, it's too low. Too low.
It's not warm yet, is it? So
yeah,
when it warms up,
it's gone over 30, hasn't it?
When it gets to 40, 50 degrees, it idles a lot better as it's warming up, obviously.
Yeah.
It's up to normal running temperature.
But compared to when we first started last week, it's a damn sight lot better, isn't it?
It's getting there slowly.
Yeah, it's not smoking anymore as well. It's not smoking.
No, it's not smoking.
And if I stand over here where it's really noisy and smell the exhaust fumes, it's not as rich. It used to smell really of petrol and unburnt fuel, but now it doesn't so much. Hopefully you can hear me because this is bloody loud. So now we'll wait for it to warm up, and then what's next?
Road test, I think.
Road test.
Yeah.
Get the seats on it and go for a little ride.
I was just trying to get it to idle when it's warm so that it doesn't keep cutting out at traffic lights and junctions.
Yeah.
And then I can take it out onto the road. It's fully legal to ride now.
Yeah.
So I can the road test will be the dyno, if you like.
Right, here we are. Test number 6 or 7, who knows. Another day.
Yeah.
So you were going to go out on the ride for it, but then you didn't because you realised you've got another issue, which is something at 3,000 revs. It's
I was just taking the throttle up last time we ran it when it was warm, and it got to 3,000, started. It felt like it was going suddenly really rich.
Right.
So I've leaned it out a bit at 3.
And
Well, below 3 as well, actually.
On the main map.
On the main map. It's just something I want to try. I can always.
So right now,
I know to the figures. I can always go back to them.
Yeah. So right now it's cold.
Cold. Well, yeah.
So with the work you've done on last week or so, it should, in theory, start a bit easier.
Yeah.
Than it did a week or so ago.
Yeah.
Right. So let's see what happens. Test number 6 or 7. I can't remember. That is a lot better than it was.
It's running for long. I know it's petering out there, but it's over 20 degrees, so it's on the main map. It's not on the enrichment map.
Right.
Just get it up to temperature, and if I take the revs up slowly, it gets to 3, and then it sort of like stumbles and stops and cuts out. It's run strong at 2. I take it to 2.5, no problem, and then it starts to get towards 3, and then you get to 3, it just cuts.
Now you've already leaned it off a little bit on the main map.
Up to 3.
So maybe you want to
3. I've left it.
Well, reduce it down maybe to 5. You know, sort of from 0 to 5. Ease it back a little bit and see if it improves things. If it makes it worse, you can then go the other way and increase the fueling.
I can take 1% out of the whole map.
Yeah, well. Yeah.
But the thing is, as soon as I open this butterfly, it's going to get, obviously, it's showing a big vacuum here. More vacuum as I'm opening the throttle.
Mm-hmm. Well, just change the map, the main map, a little bit from, say, 2 to 5 and see whether that makes a difference.
Not on the enrichment map.
No, on the main map.
Main map.
Yeah, because you're not using the enrichment because it's too hot now, isn't it?
No, it's only at 62 degrees.
No, but that means that the enrichment map won't be there.
No.
Well, now it's nice and warm, or at least warmish. You can go back and remap it and bring it back out again in 5 minutes. It'll still be warm, won't it? So you can then carry on with it. So let's try test number 7 or 8, whatever it is, and you'll change the map, the main map, from say 2 to 5 or 3 to 5, and see if it improves that little stumble at 3,000.
It's not a stumble; it just cuts out.
Okay, well, they cut out then.
Is it overfueling?
You don't know until you.
Is it leaning out?
Well, we'll go one way and see what happens, and if it makes it worse, go the other way. If it makes it better, then you know you're on the right track, as it were. Right, next test. You've now modified your main map.
Yeah.
And increased
the fueling
by 1%.
Between from 0 to 30% throttle, between 2,750 RPM and, well, actually 5,000 RPM.
5,000. It's only 1%, but hopefully that will make a difference.
Yeah, it will make a difference. But whether we're going the right way or not, we won't know.
It'll either run better or it'll run worse, so it'll make no difference. But
Yeah.
if it runs worse, you know you're going the wrong way. If it runs better, you can always say, right, we'll add a bit more.
The plan is to get it to a rideable state, and then we can do that.
Right, so it's still quite warm, so it should start up okay.
It should start okay, yeah.
Get warmed up and see what happens.
Right, we are showing on the temp gauge 44 degrees.
Yeah, so that's outside the range for the cold start map.
Yeah, so we'll just press the button and see what happens.
Yeah, I think you'll need a bit of throttle for that.
Like it's cutting the ignition at 3.
Yeah, it still does it. So that made. We'll get it warmed up a bit and then repeat.
Not happy, is it?
No.
But as soon as I lifted the throttle, it started spluttering at 3. It seemed to be rich because the plugs were black when I pulled them out next time.
Well, let's see what they're going to be like this time. Let them cool down. We'll drink our tea because they're going cold next door, and we'll see. But what was interesting was, even at 3,000 revs, when you weren't moving that throttle at all, the engine was surging up and down with the blower. You know, it's surprisingly. Maybe by 500 revs it was going up and down, up and down.
Yeah, no.
Quite surprising. Now maybe that won't be so apparent if you're riding it under load, you know, because
under load it's a different animal.
Yeah. Very strange.
Well, I say the game is to get it smooth and get it right.
Yeah. So that's the test number, God knows what, about 7 or 8. So it starts a lot better, and it runs up to 3,000 revs a lot better, but beyond that...
You can play with the throttle and then you heard it revving between 3 and 5.
Yeah.
It was flipping.
Yeah.
But you had to get it above that 3,000 dead spot.
Yeah. Right, so let's put it back in the old garage and go and drink some tea.